Oh, hi there. Welcome to the shop. I'm John Lockhart. I'm going to show you how to work safely in the shop. So, first things first, safety first.
For your safety.
You always want to make sure you're wearing the proper PPE. In the shop, that includes eye protection, ear protection, and it's always a good idea to have one of these dust masks on since we are going to be doing a lot of cutting with some saws and there's a lot of sawdust around. It's also a good idea to wear one of these shop aprons just to keep your clothes nice and clean. When measuring, you always want to make sure that you're measuring from the edge and not in the middle because your measuring tape could kind of go on a weird angle. So I'm going to measure from an edge. I'm going to know what I need to cut. Let's just make this 6 inches. Put a little tick there. It's always a good idea to use a square, one of these carpenter squares, very handy, to draw the line. And importantly, if you're not the one doing the cutting, and you're going to pass this off to somebody else, you want to make sure you put an X on the side that you don't want to keep. So they know that this is the side that you want to keep, this is the offcut. This is a mitre saw, sometimes referred to as a chop saw because it can chop wood. What's great about the mitre saw is I can actually change the angle of the saw blade and then pull it down and make angled cuts like this one here, which is great for when we're making braces for things. Today, I'm just going to do a straight cut. So I'm going to move my saw blade to the middle. There's a lever underneath. Lock that into position. My wood, I always want to make sure is against the back fence, against the back rail here. I also want to make sure that my fingers are at least 6 inches away from the saw blade. Too close? Bad idea. I'm going to hold onto the piece of wood against the back fence. I want to line up my saw blade first. So I'm going to just pull it down, get the saw blade so that the teeth of the blade are just touching the line and the bulk of the teeth are going into my offcut piece. All right, lined up there. Now I'm all set to start the saw. To start the saw, you got to squeeze the trigger up at the top. Am I ready to make the cut? No, because I don't have my proper PPE on. I'm going to get my dust mask on.
For your safety.
My hearing protection.
For your safety.
And now I'm good to go. Like that. Now, small little pieces like this, we usually don't keep. So, where do they go? Into the trash. Let's talk drills. We have two types of drills that we use here in the shop. We have your standard electric cordless screwdriver, and we have an impact driver. There's pros and cons to each one and different uses for each drill. So I'm going to talk first about the cordless electric screwdriver here. This one is what we'll just refer to as the drill. Can you get me the drill? This is what we're talking about. We use the drill to burrow out holes in our wood, known as pilot holes. Makes it easier for the screw to go in without splitting the wood. So to change the bit, put it in reverse, hold onto my black chuck, a couple squeezes on the trigger, and I can pop out the bit, put in a different one, put it in forward, finger forward, and then I can hold onto the bit. That makes these teeth go together, woo, or apart. There we go. Pop that in there. Tighten it up. So I've got my screws, my drill bit. I'm gonna get that in the hole. A couple quick pulses to get it set, and then drive it on in. All right. Now the key thing is to make sure that your wood is nice and flush. Your drill bit and your screw head have a good firm contact with one another. Because if they're not nice and square in, you'll hear this terrible sound. Ah! All you're doing there is stripping the screw, which means rounding the head of the screw. You're also rounding the head of the drill bit too, and that's bad, that damages it. So if you're hearing that sound, stop what you're doing. You want to line up your screw and your drill bit again, so they're nice in line with one another and a good firm contact. and you can go on in like that. Look at that! Look what I made. All right, let's talk impact drivers. Impact drivers are used to drive in long screws into thicker pieces of wood, like these 2x4s that I've got here. So, same thing, line it up with the pilot hole that I've made. A couple quick pulses to get it set. Get my wood all nice and flush. Brace it. Make sure I'm not stripping the screw head. Now that sound that you were hearing is a ratcheting sound, because what the impact driver is doing is not only is it turning, but it's kind of hammering the screw in as well to drive it into place. So if you're hearing this sound, it's bad. You're stripping the screw head. Hearing that sound, it's good. There we go. Notice that I'm not squeezing the trigger at full, strength. I'm giving it a couple quick pulses, really, and then gently applying pressure, because the more you squeeze, the harder it'll go. Well, that's it for today. I hope you learned something here in the shop.